deserve to be honored? Are we giving them enough honor? Does our country deserve to be honored? And more importantly, in this 21st century, does it make any difference anymore? Does it really make any difference anymore? But if honor fades away, what will replace it? You can read what one person used to describe an honorable man on the screen. I will not read it to you, but it's worth reading. And I'm showing you also a number of quotations that I'm not reading to you, but I expect you, I hope that you'll be reading them. Integrity results from the relentless pursuit of honesty at all times. But now let's talk about the inverted relationships between integrity that converts honorability to dishonor. Here are the character equations: integrity plus honesty plus accountability plus ethics plus credibility equals honorability. Corruption plus fraud plus bribery plus irresponsibility plus inveracity, untruthfulness, equal dishonor. Those are equations. They're not mathematical equations, but they're lifetime equations. And these are the values by which we have lived our civilization for thousands and thousands of years. The traditional antonyms of integrity and the opposite of integrity: corruption, disgrace, dishonesty, and dishonor. The antonyms of honor: blemish, disgrace, dishonor, ill repute, stigma. But, my friends, times are changing. Times are changing. It is no longer always a disgrace in today's modern media-shaped celebrity-adoring society. It's no longer always a disgrace, blemish, or stigma to be corrupt, dishonest, or dishonorable. Notorious contempt for former high standards is now often worn as an ornament of pride rather than a blemish of shame in this world where nobody knows anybody anymore. There are no neighbors, there are no friends, there are just so many people that we can't keep up with each other. And speaking of shame, this is another word that has become outmoded. Over a century ago, the great Cuban patriot, Jose Marti, Cuba's equivalent of Jose Rizal, commenting on the decline of shame, said this: shame must be made fashionable. It must be fashionable for people to feel shame. When people do not feel shame, civilization is in a great trouble. Shame must be made fashionable. But instead, it appears that shame has been repealed. Those who should suffer shame are now big-mouthed heroes who have defied tradition, law, and honor, and are always innocent, whether or not proven guilty. And I showed you at the very beginning with that breaking news the picture of the former governor of Illinois, who is exactly what I just described. A big-mouthed hero who's never going to be found guilty because he just will never admit it. You know, once we had a very colorful governor in my state of Georgia. And our state is pretty colorful, and some of us are colorful too when we get out of our state. We had this governor who was very colorful, and one time he went around to all the state prisons, and he shook hands with every prisoner. He went through a number of state prisons. He shook hands with every single prisoner, and he asked them one question. He said, "Are you guilty of the crime for which you're being punished, for which you're being held in jail?" And nobody said yes, except two people. Everybody said, "No, I'm not guilty. I'm innocent." and they were in jail. He got back to his office, and he pardoned those two people. You know what he said? He said, "We got two honest men in jail. We got to let them out." Integrity and honor are no longer such shining and inspiring goals as they once were. Corruption and dishonor, likewise, are no longer such evil vices as they were once considered. Acts and actions formerly considered despicable now are welcomed by the media and give the actor the glory of achieving 15 minutes of fame with little or no risk of disrepute. It is not only governments that have become more corrupt, it is whole societies. In the Orwellian newspeak of 2010, disgraceful acts are honorable, and corruption is opportunity. We have gradually and unknowingly entered into the new age of cultural change. The age of Aquarius has finally evolved into the age of Klepto-Aquarius. Perhaps we have already entered the first klepto century. Today, the pollution of human character is far worse danger than environmental contamination or global warming. Corruption has always been with us. It's gone through cycles of growth and diminutions over the years. But now again, it's on the upswing. But the swing is higher and is faster than ever before. Chapter 2. Some personal experiences. Dean Avelina de la Rey suggested that I comment on some of my auditing experiences for those of you who are contemplating entering that profession. I was very fortunate to be born in the southern part of the United States in the middle of the Great Depression. To live for my first 9 years in a very, very, very tiny southern town named Battenberg, South Carolina. Then to move with my family to what soon will be the capital city of the South, Atlanta, Georgia, just as it began to emerge as such. As you probably know, the southern part of the United States is often called the Bible Belt due to the deep religious faith of our people. As you may not know, our history has been plagued by poverty. Following the defeat in the Great War between the states, which is what we Southerners prefer to call it, augmented by the Great Depression, spurred by highly discriminatory business practices of powerful, selfish northern business interests, and further multiplied by blatant corruption in state and local government. The United States South that I was born into was in every sense of the word an underdeveloped land. And I believe that my own experiences during the years I grew up and began working as a CPA, auditor, investigator, and later as a public official in my home state of Georgia were really divine guidance, preparing me for my later work in Latin America. First seeking to improve government financial management and auditing, and later helping to fight corruption in government. Now here are some experiences from my own experience as an auditor and investigator in Georgia. As a junior accountant, unlike all my colleagues, I was always interested in auditing local governments. So I ended up working on many such audits because everybody else hid under their desk when they heard that we had to audit a local government. In those days, private sector auditing in the United States had been fairly well developed. As a result of the Great Depression,